Cool.
Right.
I feel like I'm so
Juan,
cool.
Aguerrevere, thank you for joining us. Great to see
Oh,
you. Appreciate you coming in. So we usually start these off by having you walk us through your journey, how you got to UF, what you did while you were here, and then the jobs that you've had that have led to where you are with your current club.
cool. Yeah. So my name is Juan, and I have a long last name that you probably won't remember after this. But yeah, I was born in Venezuela. At the age of around like 9, I moved to Puerto Rico. At the age of 11, I moved to Miami. And in Miami, I grew up playing soccer my whole life. But in Miami, having to learn the new language and everything, English, right? I was very social before, and I didn't want that to stop. So soccer was pretty much like a big part of my life where I could socialize with people, and there were kids who spoke English, Spanish, both, and it helped me grow. Over the years, of course, I'm kind of like the first generation. I'm the oldest brother of 3, right? So I'm the first one that went to college, and honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I didn't know what UF was. I didn't know what FIU was. I didn't know what anything was. All I did was sort of go to middle school, high school, played soccer, and I was hoping to get picked up by a university or something like that, you know? Point is, I learned the language. I was always very social. I was never very good at school. I got distracted, but in like a good way. I like the teachers liked me, but I just got a little bit distracted. I was honed in on soccer. That was my thing. So in high school, I wasn't the best. Like I had like a B average. Like I was pretty average. I went to Ronald Reagan High School. I don't know if there's anybody from South Florida in the group. And for 2 years, and then I played. I got sort of like scouted to play soccer at Christopher Columbus High School, and that was pretty cool. All boys school, no drama. Like it was just go to school, play sports, get some, I guess, average or good grades, and then you're good. But yeah, I didn't know much about colleges, so I did have interest from some second and third division colleges. One third division college that was a national champion, and that one I really wanted to go to. I think it's called Weber College somewhere in Florida. Um, but the idea was for me to go there, develop, and go to a first division college. But to be honest, like I just didn't feel like I could be like a student athlete. I felt like I either had to be an athlete or a student. I couldn't be both because it didn't work in high school. So I made a kind of like a tough decision to pursue academics, and it was a tough decision because I wasn't very good at it, right? But I think being honest with myself kind of like helped me get better at it. When I got to community college, Miami-Dade College, I was going out with a girl that was going to transfer to UF. And then when I start looking at what I was interested in, which was in journalism, TV, news, sports, media, right? I saw that UF was a great university for it. So I made it my goal to not only go for my girlfriend at the time, but also go for myself. So I did really well at Miami-Dade College. First semester was a mess. I had classes in 3 different buildings across all of, I guess, like Miami. Not good, but I bounced back, and I got an offer letter from UF. A little bit easier. I think it's way easier to transfer than like a first year. So luckily, there's that option. And when I visited UF, it wasn't about the connections that I was going to have. It wasn't about, I guess, like the academics, because all that stuff was good and it was going to happen organically. But I kind of like approached it. And I think Eric can sort of attest to this with kind of like how crazy I was like bouncing around from thing to thing. I just saw it like a room full of activities. I got like made fun of when I was a freshman in high school. I went to a friend's house for the first time and he had basketballs, soccer balls, baseballs. And I got to lunch the next day in like a big table and I was like, damn, Gianluca's house has like a lot of activities. I want to go there again. People joked around and made fun of me. I thought it was a little nerdy the way that I came off, but I thought the same exact way as Florida. I went into the newsroom and I was like, wow, there's like 3 booths for radio. Wow, there's like the radio plays. Wow, there's, where people write the online stories. There's TV. There's so many opportunities, And if there was something in school that I liked, was a little bit of teamwork and self-starter, like sort of like projects. I like doing projects. I didn't like tests too much. I like projects. I succeeded in those. So I saw UF as kind of like an opportunity to do things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do from home. So when I got to UF, the first thing that I wanted to do was play by play. I think I emailed the guy from play by play, which wasn't Eric at the time. It was someone else. Got rejected.
Mike, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I got rejected. It was like, I think I called them the wrong name or something like that. I was just very eager to do things. And I took my L. Yeah, I just got a little bit more used to UF. I played in the UF club soccer team. We won a national championship, which was really cool. But UF was hard for somebody who wasn't very good at academics. And I think, a lot of people say like your biggest successes is like your failures, right? And it sort of is true for me. I kind of like hitting walls. I kind of like hitting bumps. I don't mind failing. Sometimes you fail because maybe you don't give it your all, or you get a little bit distracted, But I think a little comeback story is always kind of like fun and strong. Of course, when you fail at the moment of failing, you cry. I guess you go to your close ones, you share, you keep it to yourself, whatever it may be. But I think two of the biggest moments in UF academically was me failing TV1, which I'm sure maybe some of you guys have done TV1 or maybe not. And the other one, the famous one, what is it? Reporting.
Reporting? Yeah.
Of course. How are you not going to feel reporting, especially when you don't look up who the easy teachers are? Point is, yeah, I failed TV. I honestly had no Premiere experience, and I had a little crappy little Windows computer that couldn't even run Premiere. So I had to go to school and like actually do it there. And with working kind of like part-time, doing soccer and everything, I just didn't have enough time the first time, and I think I was very close to a passing grade, but it was because maybe like my professor was a little nice to me here and there just to like help me pass. And then I sat in his office and he said something along the lines of, hey, you have a 68, you need a 70 to pass. I can give you the points. And I remember sitting there being like, oh, my parents are going to hate me for this because they're probably going to have to give me a little bit more money for me to like, redo the class. But I want to do the class again just because I feel like I got like 30% out of it, out of the 100% that I could have. And I did the class again, and it was embarrassing, and my parents were not happy. And, my girlfriend like was supportive, but at the time, she was like, come on, dude, like lock in. But it was great because I feel like the second time, right, I had experience. I kind of knew how to like use like Premiere and all that stuff. And it helped me just like kind of like relearn these things that maybe like slipped my mind, or maybe I did wrong the first time. And I think my favorite thing was seeing people who were in the same position that I was my first time taking it, and being able to help them out as kind of like that person who was retaking the class. A little bit embarrassing and awkward, I guess, in the first class and the second class, but by the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, I was just friends with pretty much everyone, and it helped me socially. I got kind of like my social fix from it, and a little bit of attention, which I like. And yeah, it was good. I passed the class. And with reporting, it was sort of like the same thing. I actually didn't have the hardest teacher the first time. I just thought that by not doing the first assignment, I was going to like be good and pass all the other ones. And then I didn't do the first one, and that was like a chunk of my grade gone. And then I kind of like wrote a last name wrong a couple of times in a couple of different ones, and fact errors, you're done. But then the second time I took it with Dr. Shu, I think was her name. She was tough, but I passed it, and it was really fulfilling. And I remember failing the first time and crying and just being like really down on myself. But then when I started kind of like mastering it, right? Like my writing, my active voice, everything, I kind of like mastered it. I was working with Eric as kind of like the radio producer that edits the ESPN radio, I guess, stories. And my writing was just improving. So I didn't know it at the time, but I guess going through these kind of like tumbles, like really, really helped me be okay with failing, but also like bouncing back and like coming back stronger. Other things that I did at UF was I think it was one of the first student-led podcasts at the time. It was something that we called, I think it was for the Women's World Cup in 2019, I believe 2019.
Yeah.
And me as a social butterfly that I was, I knew Marco, I knew I knew 5 people who maybe like 7 people who would be interested. And pretty much I reached out to them. I pitched them the idea. I pitched it to Eric. I pitched it around the office, and I ended up with 5 people who were crazy enough to join me in my journey of doing an episode for every match week, ahead of every match week, and then written stories for every, like, previews and post match day stories. And it was awesome. I got people working outside of what, like, their, like, I guess, like, school curriculum was. And it gave me a little bit of sense of, like, leadership. I found somebody to produce the podcast. I was producing it, like, with the writing and the things that we were going to talk about, and I encouraged people to do the same, and it was really successful. It was really fun. And then I carried it on, covering Gator soccer, women's soccer, with it. But I did that. I wrote for ESPN radio. I did play-by-play. I did noticias, which was super fun, and it helped me kind of, like, practice my Spanish after not speaking it, like, fluent, like, I guess, like, other than with my parents. But since I wasn't living with my parents, I was barely speaking it. So I did a lot of things, and it was fun. I didn't really go to, like, many sporting events. I like gymnastics. I like basketball, football, here and there. It was really busy. Couple tailgates. I did have my fun in college, but I think the biggest thing was kind of like these little activities and little, like, outside things. And with that, I think that helped me build, I guess, like, my initiative, my drive to go and do something different. And maybe it wasn't going to make money, or maybe it wasn't going to get, like, the views or the likes or the engagement that I wanted, but I knew that it was going to pay off at some point, that kind of, like, drive. I graduated in 2019. I had a little writing job with Live Soccer TV, and I'm telling you, this is like, I'm gonna be, at the moment, I was kind of grateful. It's like, hey, I have a little job, but I was getting paid like $600 a month to just write for, like, an online, 3 stories a day, 5 days a week, I think, for an online website. Pretty much, it told you where to watch soccer games from, like, the biggest leagues all the way to, like, Saudi Arabia second division, back then when Saudi Arabia wasn't popping in soccer. And that helped me practice my writing. But by, like, the year, right, like, the pandemic happened, I had this really cool gig with Telemundo, kind of, like, lined up for me to be a PA for the Olympics in South Florida, in the big Telemundo, like, building. So the way that works is the Olympics were in Tokyo, and people would work out of Tokyo, send us content, and then we would sort of, like, help produce it. And the Olympics got, like, sent to, like, pretty much, like, postponed for a year. And it was a tough period, the whole pandemic thing. A couple of my friends, found jobs, and it was cool. It was exciting, but I didn't want to move back home, and I ended up moving back home, which was a blessing in the long run. Had to do my relationship, like, long distance. My girlfriend did find a job in infectious diseases in Houston. It was a little bit tough, but I kept working at it. I did a digital marketing sort of, like, degree with It helped me understand SEO a little bit better. It helped me understand copywriting for websites, the UX, UI, design, all this stuff. It was, like, really fun with It was a good experience. So I kept myself busy. And the coolest thing was the Euros at that point. The Euros were happening, I think, in 21 or something like that. I was doing the Olympics. I did the Olympics. It was successful. It was super fun. And then the Euros happened, and I got with a friend and decided to do this little Instagram account that we got up to, like, 450 followers or something like that. We were getting solid engagement for that much, but we were, like, literally writing these long captions, descriptive about, like, every game, players to watch, everything. And then one of my fellow classmates from back in the day, Matt Long, was working with Miami FC, and he invited me to go and, like, shoot a game, like, with photo. And at that point, I didn't even really know where I was going to end up. And he invited me, and I showed him the live, I forget what it was called, but I showed him pretty much what I was doing, and I was very excited. And I think he tried hiring 2 social media coordinators, and both the social media coordinators accepted, like, the move-in money, but never moved down to South Florida to work with Miami FC. And they were really frustrated, and they were like, pretty much, like, he reached out to me and he was like, Juan, I don't know if you can do this. I don't know if you have, like, but I know that you have drive. So I'm going to hire you. And he kind of, like, blindly just, like, hired me to do this social media coordinator position. And to be honest, I was barely posting on socials other than the project that I had going on. But I took it on. And from my beginning in I think it was 2022, that's when I started, in January 2022, or around January, February. By May, Matt was gone. He went to work with the New York Islanders, and his plan was to leave me as a social media manager. which was cool. And those first 2 months, I learned so much and I was kind of prepared for it. But then Nico, our director of communications, like the head of the department, he also left. So I was left in this position where like I could have like just like sat down and kind of like did the social media stuff and dished the communications and the leading the department to someone else. But I stepped up and kind of like saw it as like the best opportunity ever for $30,000 a year. Just leading a whole department for a second division professional soccer club in the US. And I took it on by storm. And, you know, I think me with the group that I had at the time, one full-time videographer, our main videographer, Marco, who also went to UF and was a good friend of mine, he left as well. So I was left with kind of like 2 part-time videographers, a full-time graphics designer, and we made it work all the way through the end of the season. We did some exciting content. We had some good campaigns. And I got to the end of the season and I was like, hey, like, this is it. Like, this is my team. We'll add someone else that I know can do the videographer job. And then I presented it to my boss, to the president of the club, and he said, yeah, good one. You're not going to make 50K. Your friends are not going to make money. Like, we're going to actually cut stuff. But you can stay at a low pay. And then that's when I decided to kind of like look elsewhere. At that point, December 2022, the World Cup, Telemundo called me again, and I made an arrangement with my boss at the time that I could work both Miami FC and Telemundo for the World Cup. And this time I was an associate producer, so I was actually producing TV packages that went on a national level on Telemundo. I really like my most experience from that came from UF. Editing packages for WFT and all that stuff. So I felt sure of myself. I didn't have to do much of the editing, like making like color grading and all that stuff. We got the stories from the reporters in Qatar. We got it. I pretty much like got the clips and I put them together to kind of like tell the story, and then the editor will make it look pretty and add some stuff. And it was pretty good. I did pretty well. I think I ended up working on like about 18 stories throughout the World Cup, and I did some live producing, which was super hectic, but pretty fun if you're down to get screamed at by like the head guy in the control room. Point is, I got back from a shift at around like 2 a.m. one day, and I saw New Mexico United. You guys probably don't know New Mexico United. New Mexico United is a USL Championship club based in the state of New Mexico, and we're the only professional soccer team. Point is, New Mexico United forever led, and it still does, leads socials in USL Championship. Best team to look at in terms of like the edits, the hype videos, the graphic design, the storytelling. I mean, top notch. And when I was at Miami FC, I just kind of was looking at what New Mexico United was doing, you know, and like our videographers too, because they were leading the charts. And I see the social media manager position open up, and at 2 a.m. I was like, let's go. And, you know, Eric Esterlin gave me a very nice recommendation letter when I finished at UF. So you best believe I was putting that in the application. You know, my cover letter, typed it up, kind of like spent 2 hours like working on it, fixed up my resume a little bit and sent it. And then the next morning, I already had an interview with them. And legend has it that I was the only person interviewed and I got the job, which was awesome. So by December 27th, I was already driving all the way from South Florida, from Miami, all the way to New Mexico. And just a little bit about the interview. I honestly was just like myself. I kind of didn't really get into the nitty gritty of what I could do or couldn't do. They kind of knew, you know, like people see it in the resume. People see what you can do. People see the club that you were working with before, what they were doing, you know. I think the biggest thing is like winning people over by like your personality. For me, it's like my personality, I think, is like my biggest asset. It's just kind of like being sort of like likable and getting people to like, I guess, like laugh at what I do or like think I'm cool or something. I don't know, dude. I'm just myself and I enjoy being myself, and people kind of like gravitate to me because of it. Point is, I got the job, worked social media as a social media manager for about for 2 years. And then I finally ended up getting a marketing manager position. And I'm proud to say, and this is not on LinkedIn yet, I am going to be the creative and marketing director starting January next year. So really happy about that. And yeah, that's kind of like my journey. I know that I talk a lot, so sorry. I hope you guys caught on to some of the things that I kind of said about, you know, maybe not being such a good student, but having that drive, you know, all that stuff is kind of like who I am, you know, And yeah, now I'm in a position where I call the shots at a professional soccer club in the US. I'm making memes as a director and helping my crew make memes and do all this stuff and doing things different from years past, but still keeping that quality, that voice, that brand voice, and really going like hard on marketing. We hadn't had a marketing manager or marketing anything at New Mexico United since its inception in 2018, 2019. So I'm the first marketing specific individual. So it's pretty cool. I can do whatever I want, kind of, with the blessing of our president. So all that hard work that I put in and kind of like socializing and just like chasing opportunities like Telemundo, Miami FC unpaid, getting paid $30,000 at Miami FC as an entry level, all that, has kind of like paid its dividends. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
That's
So
awesome. Well, congrats on the promotion or the upcoming promotion. That's really cool. So tell us a little bit more about like your day to day now, currently working with the team and what you're doing during the week and on game days and all that kind of stuff.
cool. So I had the marketing side of things. I'm kind of like alone on that. By marketing, it's just pretty much coming up with like activations on game days, activations for tailgates. But it's mostly like digital marketing, anything that's like paid meta, Google ads, a little bit of billboards, helping like I pretty much like oversee my graphic designers creating billboards that go up on, around town. What else? Just kind of like ideas, like social media, like organic video ideas, planning with partnerships. We have a partnerships team. We don't call it sponsorships. We call it partnerships. It's a little bit more inviting. The partner feels a little bit better about it, but pretty much like script writing is like, I think the thing that takes the most time right now is we love doing a little silly script or like something that's more than just like a little video. So I do a lot of like script writing, all the way from storytelling for our players or members of our community or things that have happened in our community, all the way to we're working with Chiba Hut, which is a local sandwich place, and how do we make a cool video with our players and them. So a lot of script writing, but paid meta is kind of like what I'm like super into. And right now I'm getting into like LinkedIn marketing, literally super new. Don't ask me questions about it. I don't have answers. I'm learning from this wonderful meta employee who's helping me understand how to make the best out of our, I guess, like paid ads on there. But that's kind of like the marketing side. And then the creative side, I think it's more on like that, I guess, like script writing, which I got a little bit ahead of myself. But yeah, the creative side is I do have a team of four full-time employees and three part-time employees, and 2 graphic designers, 2 videographers, social media manager, and a photographer slash a little bit of social media like help for my social media manager. And pretty much their job is to create, and my job is to help them create and put them in a situation where they feel comfortable creating, where they are brainstorming, coming up with their own ideas, but also listening to my ideas and making my vision come true, which is amazing. You would think I don't have to move a finger, but I do. I go to shoots, I plan the shoots, I schedule the shoots, I communicate with, places around town. We want to do like an old school 80s type shoot for a jersey, for our Meow Wolf jersey release, right? We went to the Skate Omania. If you watched, what's it called? Oh my God. I'm so bad with like movies and series. I'm sorry, but Stranger Things. If you remember the skating rink, well, that's where it was filmed. By the way, Albuquerque, New Mexico is like the new kind of like Hollywood. Like a lot of like Netflix and movies, like studios, pretty much are coming here, and we have a partnership with pretty much like the people that help, like the realtors that help the actors get here. So we get to work with like Patrick Fabian, with Johnny Depp and stuff like that, which is really cool. Probably shouldn't have said the Johnny Depp thing. It's like under the cut. So don't say anything. But yeah, the creative side of things is just making sure that like, the soccer videos are rolling, but also how can we make our partnerships like really special? What can we do, like following trends and all that stuff? And me kind of keeping people's brains kind of like rolling, but also like emotionally like keeping them there, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. And part of my job is to manage those hours so my team likes me and likes United and likes what they do. So yeah, that's kind of how my like job is split. And yeah.
So let's address the elephant in the room. What's it like moving from Miami to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and what's it like living in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
It's crazy, dude. Like I had my teammates at Miami FC went to play New Mexico. We beat New Mexico at the time in 2022 3-0, but then they were like, it's a shithole, homeless people everywhere, yada 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 yada. And to me, that doesn't face me, dude. I come from Venezuela. Like on my car ride to school, I remember being a little kid and asking my parents, like, damn, like, why is it so like, and I learned to be very fortunate for what I had, but I it never really faced me to go into kind of like this, like a little bit like rougher, like what seemed like a rougher place. And Albuquerque is not one of the best cities in the US. I mean, like the crime rates are like pretty high and all that stuff, but that didn't really face me. My job is to become a part of the community and whatever that community is. And the longer that I've been here, the more I understand the people that live here, the culture, the indigenous community, the Latino/American community. It's just like the club has helped me see so many different layers of New Mexico and Albuquerque that it's kind of like my home. I love it. I like it. There are things here and there, like in terms of like the state poverty and stuff like that, that you can't ignore, right? But New Mexico United is a vehicle for positive outcomes. And we have a foundation that all our kids play academy at a high level without paying a penny. But these kids give back to the community, so they go help with picking up trash here and there, or go help with a clinic where kids, go out for like 2 hours and play. So, and not just in Albuquerque and Hobbs, in all these towns, some towns that have like 10,000 people to like maybe like 3,000 people. So I've learned to love it. At first, I think I was like 2 weeks in, I had like an encounter in a gas station. I didn't even have my hair long or anything, and I just was putting gas in my little Corolla, and then two people rolled up on a pickup truck, and they were really like Burqueño, like Albuquerque looking like individuals, and they were like, "Hey man, you're not from Berkeley, right?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm from Miami." And we're like, "Yeah, we can see that." And they kind of like tried scaring me off, but like it's all kind of like it felt scary, but they were just trying to like just kind of like mess with me a little bit, and it was fun. At the end of it, like I ended up dabbing them up, and then they were kind of like following me on the highway, but they weren't. We're just heading the right direction, the same direction. But it was crazy. But point is, that didn't face me. It was fun. I always took it with a grain of salt. I live downtown. It's kind of like nothing crazy. It's like the worst, like in terms of like stuff happening downtown, the worst downtown I've ever been in. But it's kind of chill because I don't hear much. Like there's not much noise, but it's very like chill, like living. I have a girlfriend here. Her family lives here, and I do have that sense of, which is very, very big for me. I have two little brothers, like I said before, a mom and a dad, back in Miami. One of my brothers lives in New York. He's a banker. But having her family here really like helps me just kind of have kind of like that family sense of things. So I feel comfortable. Miami is different. I lived in Doral. If you know South Florida, you kind of know like a lot of Venezuelans like myself, Colombians. So it was nice to get out here. And you think New Mexico, a lot of Spanish speaking people, like there are Spanish speaking people. It's mostly like, I guess, like immigrants and stuff like that are new here. But like the average like Albuquerque like individual speaks English before they speak Spanish, even though they look like they would speak Spanish. A lot of them don't. So it's like English like dominated for the most part. But I'm having fun. The club allows me to see the best parts of New Mexico, and it is a beautiful state if you like outdoors hiking. I know there's no mountains where you guys are at right now, but if you're craving that, I mean, great place to like visit. A lot of people talk about the Colorados and the Arizonas. New Mexico is the land of enchantment, and when you go and you visit and you go to like White Sands and all these beautiful places that are very isolated but very natural and beautiful, I mean, you fall in love with it. So yeah, I don't regret it at all. It's beautiful.
Awesome. You should work for the State Visitors Association, I think, Juan. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've worked with a Visit. I forgot Angel Fire, which is kind of like and these are little things that I do on the side when I kind of like mastered like meta ads to my degree of like mastering. There's people out there that are like geniuses and have all the time in the world to do things. I did work with some campaigns with a couple of different like Visit whatever around New Mexico, and they actually paid for me to like write up and stay like 2 nights over there and do some content for them, and then teach them how to like monetize it. and it was pretty fun. So I have worked with them.
That's awesome. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to give, and if any students have any questions for Juan or anything, the opportunity to answer questions. Yeah, Nick, go
Yeah.
ahead.
First off, I'm Columbus class of 2022, so that's cool that you went to Columbus. But I was just gonna ask, like, how did working for the Olympics kind of early on in your career, like, what do you think that helped you with later on in your career?
So I think, so at a personal level, imagine, so the way that I like clinched that, and I think Eric might know. I graduated fall 2019 and drove straight down to South Florida because Premier League, right, was
Yep.
having like their fan fest.
That's
And I
right.
drove straight down, my goal was to have it was my, like at around, yeah, I don't know. Was it my birthday? I don't know. I graduated, drove straight down the day after. My parents were like, wait, we're not going to celebrate? I'm like, let's just celebrate in Miami and let me go to my Premier League thing. I have a plan. My plan was to have fun with my family in the fan fest, but also get a contact. And me being the social butterfly, you know, I kind of hung out, drank a beer, chilled, you know, had fun. And then towards the end ish, I saw that like there was a little bit less people and more opportunity to get to the front. And I waved down like a PA. He like didn't care about me. Waved down another PA and he's like, yeah, I can find you somebody who can talk with you. And then I forget his name, but his last name was Little. Point is, the guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, I heard that you're like, you graduated yesterday and you're interested in like cracking in the you know, like maybe an opportunity. And I was like, yes, please. He pretty much gave me the contact of Adrian Costas, who is a Emmy winning, I don't know how many he's won, producer with Telemundo. He's kick-ass, super intense guy in the like production room, but super nice guy who's willing to, you know, give opportunities here and there to people that he thinks, you know, could get those opportunities. And pretty much I talked to them and locked in. Like 3 months later, 2 months later, he gave me the PA opportunity. But then the Olympics get moved, right? And my whole thing was I was sending emails like Thanksgiving, Christmas, dude. I could have been this guy's brother, you know, or like cousin. Like I was making him feel like, you know, like besties. Like I just needed to like, I couldn't let that guy forget me. And he was very nice about it. Like he didn't think I was annoying or anything. And I was not trying to be annoying. I was just like, hey, remember me, you know, happy Merry Christmas. You know? Point is, I had so much energy going into it that it almost like made me want to do more. Not it almost didn't. It made me do more than a PA. So I was doing my PA jobs, but then staying a little bit later and like being like, hey, do you need help with this? Hey, how can I help? And then he started giving me assignments. Like one of the biggest things is making sure that sponsorships are airing at the right time for for how long, you know, it should be. And it's the right partner. So he tasked me with the project of creating a spreadsheet. I'm not good at spreadsheets, but I did it with the help of somebody who was, because I found this girl who was really good at spreadsheets. And we both kind of like took it on and showed a little bit of leadership, you know, aside from like the helping with social media. I was doing pretty much like social media segments that were like 1 minute and 30 seconds long that we pre-plan, and then you just push some buttons and then they play like nicely. And yeah, I was running the social media accounts for a Telemundo pretty much like show called Zona Mixta at the time. And it was all in Spanish, which was really cool that I could do that in Spanish, you know, like just write captions and all that stuff. And it was crazy. Imagine all these sports, all the medals. We were focused on Latino, like Hispanic, Latino, like winners, Cuban, pretty much like, what was it? I think it was like weightlifting. There was a guy who was crazy, and maybe like a couple of like fighters, whether it be wrestling or whatever it was at the time. Then with Ecuador, like the people who ride bikes long distance were really good. So it was just kind of like there were so many things that you could just like dive deep and learn and show kind of like drive for. And then my pretty much like my boss, my associate producer, like noticed that, you know, I had a lot of drive. And I think that's why not only did they invite me to do the World Cup like the year after, but they pretty much like bumped not only like I think I went from like making 17 an hour that first time to making like 28 an hour the second time. And it was like 12-hour shifts, crazy hours, but I made so much money doing that, but it was so crazy and it was just so much work. But yeah, that's kind of like how I got that position slash how it went, and kind of like what my mindset was going into it, through it, and then yeah, after I just got more opportunities. So yeah,
It's awesome. Thanks for sharing that one. All right. Just to wrap up here, just you're in a position where you hire people, and I know you had a UF intern, I think there this past,
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Audrey.
So what kind of stands out when you're in that position of hiring and you're going through interviews and you're looking at resumes and all that kind of stuff? Give us a couple tips of something that stands out during that process.
When I pretty much like became the leader of the group, I had two videographers leave like first week, and a graphic designer tell me like our badass like this guy can work with the LA Dodgers, can work with anyone. The thing is he has a daughter here, so he doesn't want to leave his daughter. But pretty much I had him, who is 10 out of 10 graphic designer, tell me, hey, I want to work at a contract. So I had all these crazy things happening right when I took over, where I had to hire people. And the biggest thing that I wanted from seeing behaviors of people who I worked with the 2 years prior, is I want somebody who's present. I don't want somebody who's looking to get out of like office, doesn't want to be in the office, doesn't want to be a part of the group, right? I want somebody who can be my friend. And I say this, it sounds super cheesy and stupid, right? But there's no way that I'm going into the office and I spend most of my life working, like my week to week, right? And I'm spending it with people who I don't like, who I'm not friendly with, or like in good terms with. And I need somebody who knows how to do whatever they're doing, or at least knows a little bit and can grow into like becoming better. So that's the things that I look for. I mean, everybody has their resumes. It's just people kind of like gravitate here in New Mexico and Albuquerque. People gravitate to you because we're the only sports team, professional sports team in the state. So you get people from UNM, University of New Mexico, which is down the road from our offices. And, I start scouting people and seeing like how good they are and what they're doing, and seeing their skill level. There was this guy, Matthew, who came out to 2 of our games last year. And you know what Matthew did? Matthew went and shot for us, but he also made, for both games, 4 reels for us. He was like, hey, I made these cool little reels. I think I posted 2 of them last year. But that to me stayed in the back of my head. And I was like, if this guy is doing cool things for me that I don't even ask for, imagine when he's working with me, Been with him for a year, first person that I hired right on the spot, 10 out of 10. Fabrice, a guy who tried joining us in 2021. We didn't hire him because he was 21. He was a little bit like young, but best videographer in terms of like music videos. He was working with rappers. The dude at the second videographer position opened up, and I was like, oh, here we go again, right? And the dude texted me and was like, hey, bro, I'm tired with the whole rap thing. I'm not a big fan of people aiming guns at me while I'm videoing. I want to do something fun. He's from Cameroon, came here when he was 15, and he loves soccer. So with him, it was a little bit tough because imagine sitting in front of leadership, showing them their work, and it's just like guns and blood splatters and heads blowing up and amazing video editing. But the president of the club was there, the vice presidents were there. And I think, yeah, I was able to sell him. I was able to like pretty much like be like, hey, like this guy like means well. What did he do in the first month here? We had a big sale where things were like 70% off and stuff like that. Grabbed a bunch of stuff, and I was like making fun of him, kind of like, Fabrice, why are you taking all that stuff? He sent 2 bags to, I think it was Uganda. His girlfriend is from Uganda. Sent 2 bags full of stuff to be donated over there. And that's the person who I hired, because when he told me he wanted to do good things for the community and stop doing violent things, and he wanted to get away with it, he meant it. And that's when I knew that I got the right person. And I'm telling you right now, if I tell Fabrice to go and like dive off with like a little parachute out of the Sandia Mountains right over here in Albuquerque, he'll do it for me. He's ride or die. And that's what I need. The sports, it's working for a second division team that has aspirations of a first division team, the storytelling, we're cemented as the best in the league, and we got to keep that up. And if you come here to work with me, it's not going to be light work, and if you understand that and you bring like a positive, I guess like kind of like a positive vibe, or like your personality is positive, and you tell me the truth. Hey, I'm not feeling good. Hey, I'm feeling good. Hey, I'm going to talk with you. I'm going to help you out. We're going to get through it. And that's exactly what we did this season. This season was beautiful. The people who I hired were amazing. And I didn't hire them because they said they could do this and that. They showed me what they can do, right? And then they backed it up. So and they're part of like our united little like family. And sometimes that scares people away. It's like, family, like united, it sounds like a little cultish or whatever. Hey, we're small, like front office. Whenever we play at a baseball field, we pack it, 10,000 people. It doesn't look like super soccery, but we pack it, but whenever it rains, we have to pull tarp. And guess what? We don't have the money to pay a company to come pull tarp. We're all pulling tarp at 6 a.m. and all that stuff. So there is a sense of community within the club that you need to understand and you need to play for, like you need to play by. And then there's the work side of things where you need to like play hard, but I will give you your days off. We have a game on Saturday, you get that Monday off. And my job again is to help people mentally stay healthy, but also professionally to grow. I think one of my guys is going to leave for Chicago Fire. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he stays because he likes me, but I'm okay with that. I'm going to find whoever's next and I'm going to bring them in, so that we continue to grow. And this is not for the club. This is not for me. Whoever works with me is working to fulfill their dream of working in sports, the experience, a healthy environment, and just to leave me after and go do great things. And then I'll be supporting you through. So that's what I find that's what I find interesting in people. And my interest is more so the person that I'm hiring, not their ability. So.
Awesome. Yeah. All right, Juan. Well, we appreciate you taking time to spend with us today and sharing your journey and your experience and all your advice. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks again, man. It's good to see you.
Cool. I wish I could be here for like 1 more hour. I love to talk, but that's just good for you guys. If y'all have any questions, if you want to sit with me for 30 minutes, even if it's not video or graphics or whatever, and it's more, I can just chat with you, tell you a little bit more in depth about my kind of like my journey, where I'm at. And yeah, we could develop that professional relationship and see and help in every way that I can, even if it's not hiring you or whatever. There's people that I've helped get hired. So feel free to slide by my DMs or something like that, whatever you guys call it nowadays.
All right. You're the best, Juan. Take care, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you all.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.